Hey, it's Maryanne. Welcome to another episode of The Influential Nonprofit. If you don't know me, I work with nonprofit leaders to master the art of influence so they can ask for and receive all they want, need, and deserve without feeling pitchy, pushy, or ineffective, or all those things that we don't want to be. Today, I'm going to talk to you about actually achieving the goals you have set for this year. I know you, like many other people, we set some big goals for ourselves. And the key to achieving those big goals is to actually change your priorities and your behavior to be able to meet them. What I typically see happen is we start the beginning of the year and it's so exciting and it's so fresh, and then we change our behavior, but it doesn't really last. Or we kind of go back to old patterns and then we wind up kind of doing the same thing again and again. And this is perfectly reasonable behavior. It takes a little bit, maybe a lot, to be able to actually shift your priorities and shift your behavior to achieve the goals that you want. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it. We'd all be hyper overachievers and we wouldn't be having this conversation. So if you've been kind of stuck in a rut, if you feel like you are bound by deadlines or by other people's needs, you're either like in this habit where you have to like deal with all this mundane or meaningless stuff and not do the real work that's really going to drive your mission. If you feel like all these external deadlines or pressures, the grant deadlines or the gala or the convention or whatever it is you've got to deal with is keeping you bound. Or if you feel like maybe the daily drama, like you came into the office and you planned on getting all of this done today, and then this whole other thing took precedent and you didn't get anything done that you wanted to, we're going to help you understand what's really happening and then be able to shift both your thinking and your behavior to actually achieve something different. Now, what I'm going to do right now is share my screen and I'm going to draw a matrix for you that I developed. Um, I was talking with a client the other day and this sort of came through. She recently was within the last year was promoted to executive director, and I'm really helping her leadership and her growth, and it's been a beautiful journey to see. We're going to talk about, you know, but this matrix came through, and I want to share it with you and sort of talk about how you can use this to really achieve something that you truly want this year. And okay, I mean, here's the thing: we're here to change lives. We're here to move people. We're here to make something amazing. And and in order to do that, we have to be brave, we have to be bold, we have to be willing to be uncomfortable, we have to be willing to do things different, step into the unknown. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Okay. And as always, I am here for you. This is what I do for a living. This is my passion. I help nonprofit leaders grow their influence so you can create a community of support and really achieve the big things that you truly want to do. So let's talk about this matrix. There's, as any matrix, we have the four boxes. And I know you probably know like the Eisenhower matrix or other kinds. This is just my take on that. Okay. And there's two parts to this, right? And that is reward and urgency. So in the top left quadrant, we have high reward, high urgency. Okay, I'm going to put all these in here and then I'm going to break them down. The second is we have high reward. And I'm going to try to write neatly. Low urgency. And I'm sure you can kind of see where this is going. Then we have low reward. This is the bottom left quadrant. Low reward. I know some of you listen to this podcast, and so you may want to give it a pause and go and watch this so you can see me draw this out. Low reward, high urgency. And then we have, of course, on the bottom right quadrant, low reward, low urgency. Okay. Now, let's unpack what each of these are. Okay. So the high reward, high urgency is when I mean something's high reward, that means there's a big benefit. It's really moving the needle. And also it's within your zone of genius. Okay. And by zone of genius, I mean what makes you you. I coach fundraisers, and so many of them think, oh, I need to be outgoing to be a fundraiser. No, you don't, right? I need to, to be able to, be super salesy. No, you don't. Okay. Everyone has their zone of genius, and there's a million ways to fundraise, to lead, and finding the thing that's in your zone, how you operate best. That is where your high reward lives, because you're actually operating in your specific talent that no one else, or maybe not very many people, can bring. If that's relationship building, if that's data, whatever it is, that's your zone of genius. That's where the reward comes from. Yeah, it also comes from the external, like, oh, maybe I just brought in a big gift. But the reason that it's a high reward is because you're operating in your specific zone of genius, where your highest, best self is performing. The gift that you bring, and only you. That's the high reward. Okay. So if you're in the high reward, high urgency, that means I am operating in my zone of genius. I'm doing something that's super meaningful to me. And also right now, right? Right now. So let's say, you're a fundraiser and you're going to meeting with a donor, and today, right? And they're ready to get, it's a high reward, high urgency. Then we have the high reward, low urgency. So there are things that you could be doing. They're not very urgent, but if you did them, it would be a really high reward. There's no deadline, there's no meeting, there's no nothing to really push you to it, but it's there. Okay. This could look like a lot of things, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this because this is really where the juice is. But this could look like, you know, um, um, making a point to call donors, donors every day, doing outreach, going out into the community, maybe getting speaking engagements, like high reward, but low urgency. There's no external force that's pushing you to do this. Then there's the low reward, high urgency. And this is the drag of life. This is not very rewarding, but you have to do it now. Maybe it's the grants. Maybe it's like one of my clients, when COVID happened, now she's like running all the Zoom meetings. This is a high urgency, but low reward. It is not a priority, and it's not her zone of genius. It is not fulfilling work. And of course, we all have junk work. We all have this. Like, we're not going to remove this completely, but what we want to do is spend manage the time that we do spend, because the last quadrant on the bottom right is low reward, low urgency. So those are the things that you don't want to do, and there's really no external force or factor causing you to do them, that you need to do them. And those are things you're probably never going to do, but that's probably okay, depending on what they are. So how do we want to live? We want to live in the high reward upper quadrant. And we want to spend as less time as possible, knowing in the reality, this is maybe an 80-20 thing, that low reward, high urgency. The low reward, high urgency, low reward, low urgency of this bottom quadrant is the soul sucking part. This drains the well. And the Rumi quote is, you give from the overflow, not the depths of the well. If you're spending a lot of time in this bottom quadrant where things are low reward, whether they're high or low urgency, it will drain you, right? What fills the well is operating up here in our zone of genius. High reward, high urgency, high reward, low urgency. What keeps us bound into the low reward bottom two quadrants is what I just mentioned at the top of this podcast, right? We feel like we get pulled in different directions. We feel like we have every intention of doing something, and then something gets in the way. There's always a crisis. We're living in a very active state, and you can change this. And the people who take my influence course, the people that I coach, they have changed this. It's not a magic wand. It takes some work, but we're going to talk about how we can do this, and how you can actually operate more in the high reward, high urgency, and the high reward, low urgency, because this quadrant in the high reward, that's where the goals are met. Goals are not met down here. Goals are not met in the low reward. Goals are met in the high reward. So if you want to meet the goals that you set, we're going to spend a lot of time up here. Okay. I'm going to pause my share, and I'm going to walk through what you can do, how you can spend more time in that high reward, high urgency, high reward, low urgency. And I'm going to say the biggest juice, the biggest place where growth happens is high reward, low urgency. Because when you set that as the things that are low urgency, if you make them high urgency, you will see change. And that is the key to take things that are um, high reward, low urgency, and make them high urgency. And we're going to talk about how to do that. All right. And these are some things that help me, that help my clients. Anytime I do this, please take what resonates, leave the rest. It's no big deal. Okay. This is all for you, for your benefit. Don't worry. One of the things that has really helped me that you might consider is a little thing I call future first. You put your future first. So if you put your future first, whatever else happens in the day is just going to happen. What do I mean by that? This could be daily or weekly, however you want to set it up, but taking those high priority, low urgency tasks and putting them first in your day. That could be donor outreach. That could be maybe booking some speaking engagements. All of those things, right? That there's no external force pushing you to do it. And those things are just so easy to push into the next day. I do it too. I'm like, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna, email 100 people. Like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Um, and I truly want to believe it does, and you do too. And maybe it's not gonna happen. And that's okay. So this is how I found to do this, and that is a future first. So do those things first. You're gonna email 3 donors, or make a couple phone calls, or um, you know, contact some people, find, if maybe one of your goals is to connect with more major donors, find some speaking engagements or find some um, um, communities like some events that you could go to. All of those things, do those first. Okay. So for me, it's speaking engagements. My focus this year is to really grow and get more speaking engagements because that's what drives my business. So I'm going to do those first no matter what happens. I'm on a big project right now. It's a big project, okay? It's a global foundation that I'm working with. And the guy who runs this organization, the foundation is one piece of 8 parts to this big organization. He's got a big presentation on Monday, and we're putting together a whole new website. I'm part of a team of about 6 people who are doing this work. And I realized that I he there was a misunderstanding as to the assignment of tasks, and he needed some stuff that I had not created yet. And so I needed to help him create these things. No problem, right? That's great. I'm there for my messaging skills and my creativity and my leadership. So I can do this. But what did I do first? I made sure that all the applications that I wanted to put in for speaking engagements were completed. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes. And then I jumped into this project because I knew once I got in, I wasn't good. It would be hard to back out. And I wanted to make sure I was fully present for them. Here's what happens when you get pulled into these different directions, you feel powerless. And when we feel powerless, that creates resentment. Anytime we give up our power, we feel resentful. And in this case, like I didn't want to come into the scene with resentment, like I cannot do this, da, da, da. And I'm recording this podcast on Friday, which is why I look casual today, instead of Thursday, which is when I typically do it because I set a priority, but that's okay because I'm getting it done today. Right. So, and that's fine. So there's 2 lessons in that story to unpack. One is that I set aside, I put my future first. And the other set was I can also just reshuffle some things and still be committed to do it. So, yeah, but I did put my future first. Okay. So number one is future first. Take those high priority, low urgency things, make them a high priority. And how you do that is just do it first. So no matter what happens with the rest of your day, you've done that thing. You've done the thing that's really going to move the needle. Okay. Second, oh, and let me just say one more thing about Future First. You want to track this. Make sure this is part of your KPIs, your key performance indicators. Put a spreadsheet out. Make sure you're tracking this because once you start tracking and you're going to realize once you get into this habit, how much things shift and how quickly they do. Okay, number 2, celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. If you've got those high urgency, high reward, high urgency, and it it was realized, or celebrate. And I'm not saying celebrate. Oh yeah, really bask in it. Take the time to enjoy your achievement. I worked at 501 Creative for 16 years. I worked for this company. I loved every minute of it. And we would have staff meeting on Monday morning, and someone would say, "Oh, that website launched," and I'd be like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold on." So my title there was strategist and resident extrovert, so you can see the kind of energy I brought to the table. Wait, hold on. We have to celebrate this. We have to celebrate this. This is a huge win. And celebration can look like anything you want. It can look like, hey, let's put that website up and everybody take a look and compliment each other. It can look like, let's buy lunch for the team today and celebrate. Let's look like, whatever it means, just take the time to celebrate those big wins. So many times we're like, win, check next, win, check next. When thinking about what it took to achieve that, what specifically you brought to that, love yourself for it, celebrate the wins. I get into this habit too, honestly. Like, oh, that was great. Oh, it was no big thing. Yes, it was. It was a huge thing. It's an amazing thing. Okay. Celebrate the wins because that is going to then cement in you what it feels like to achieve that, and you're going to want to do it more. Also, it's great for your team. It's great for everybody. It is a cup filler, right? We're here to fill cups, right? Fill the well. We give from the overflow. We give from not the depths of the well. And being in that upper quadrant is going to fill your well, and it's going to allow you then to put that overflow onto other people and really love and enjoy the people around you instead of living in this low-key resentment all the time. Okay, number three, I'm going to say this very carefully. Open your mind to the possibility that you can actually delegate tasks. Not delegate, because I know you would do that if you could. It's open your mind to the possibility that there are things that you actually don't need to do. We sometimes get bound in situations and refuse to let things go because we don't trust other people to do them. It's easier if we do them. Or I don't know how to make it stop. Right? I got stuck into this, where I have to fill out these applications, or like one of my friends, she works for a printing company, and she's like the she has to do like she wound up getting stuck doing all the estimates, and now she can't get out of it. Yeah, no one wants to do that. Low low reward, high urgency work. My belief is that that work can either be offloaded or shared. Um, like I think I mentioned my client who all of a sudden as COVID hit, she got stuck managing Zoom meetings for her whole organization, not just her department, her whole organization, pulling her away from the goals, the actual goals and things that her department needed to get done. And it's a hard thing to get out of. Um, Sometimes it takes an external force, like in this case, a new person came on, and it takes an internal force. And this can be the thing that is the most difficult. It can be because when you stop doing these things, people will get mad. If you become the default person for certain things, like, oh, I wind up always doing that because you're probably really competent and smart and get stuff done, and people know that. And now they're like, pushing you to do it, it takes a bit to unlearn that. And it's going to take some courage from you, some boldness, and the ability to disappoint people to get out of that. You can do it. You have to believe that it is possible. So many times I connect with people and they're like, I just don't know. There's just no room for anything new. And if that fixed mindset, that is going to keep you bound more than anything else. And so opening your mind to the ability to delegate. Here's another tip around this is a delegate is you don't have to hire people from the inside. You absolutely do not. Nonprofits are obsessed with hiring full-time, hiring part-time. You don't have to do that. I'm a solo person. I'm a one-person shop. I have a VA, a virtual assistant. She's in South Africa. She works on my communication stuff. That's how I'm able to post all this stuff and create all this content. I create the content. That's my zone of genius. She puts it all together. I don't do that. I pay her it's 3 hours a week. She does that. You know how much time Oh my God, that low reward, high urgency. Like, I just want to crawl under my desk and die. I hate it. She loves it. She's great at it. And she helps a lot of other people. There's a lot of creative ways that you can job things out, right? You can, and this is a couple of $100 a month. It's not that much. It's way cheaper than hiring a full-time or part-time person to just bring some people in. You can go on Fiverr, you can go on all the different websites to find some admin help for you or you can go like I did. I found it. It's called My VA 360, and I found a virtual assistant. They work all over the world. Like I've had one Thailand, Philippines, all over the world that assist me in specific tasks. Now you gotta onboard them. There's a little ramp up time, but once they got that low reward task off you, it frees up so much of your energy for where it should be, which is in the high reward. You have to believe that it's possible for any of this to happen. And that's why number three is open your mind to the possibility that you can actually get out of some of these tasks. You are not bound to them. As long as you believe you are bound to them, nothing will ever change. You can set any goal that you want, nothing's ever going to change. Okay, I got two more. Second, get ruthless. And what I mean is by get ruthless is really take an inventory of where you're spending your time, how much time you're spending in each of these quadrants, and really think about how I can get out of those things. You have to be brutally honest with yourself, brutally honest with all around you. And when I say brutal, like that feels so negative, like, just be ruthless in your assessment of how you're spending your time. And let's release the judgment because there really is no judgment. It's just a thing that happened, right? It's information. I don't have to say, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Oh, wow, that was so awful. What was I thinking?" No, hey, that happened. That isn't that interesting that I spent so much time doing that. Isn't that interesting? Right? It's all information. So if you can pull the judgment, the guilt, or the regret, or anything out of it, um, then you can just look at it as information. Hey, this is what I was doing, huh? Why was I spending so much time creating an annual report when my goal for this year was to um, meet with more donors? Well, I know why you did that because probably that meeting with new donors is scary, right? Like this is and doing the newsletter or the annual report, that's something you can do many times. And I'm not saying this is you, but if it is, receive the wisdom that we hide behind the computer and do these tasks because we're afraid of stepping out into our discomfort. And that's what I'm saying about being ruthless is like, yes, maybe I am sort of hiding behind the screen because I don't want to pick up the phone and call people. And that's okay. That's just great information. And now that we have it, we can shift it, you know? Okay. And so the last thing I want to say is you may need some outside support to really get this done. And as someone who gives this outside support, I'm saying, you know, it is okay to hire somebody to guide you through this. It can be tricky. I'm not saying you can't do it alone. It can be tricky to do it alone, just for the things that I mentioned, you know, figuring out how to delegate, being ruthless, the ability to disappoint people, the ability to stay in your priorities no matter what else that you may need a, a coach or a guide to help you with that. I'm happy to talk with you. It doesn't matter if it's me or anybody else, but somebody who can help you. I'm going to give you an example of exactly what this looks like from a client that came through my system. So she came to me and she said, I am always getting pulled into the drama. My door is people coming in. Oh, this person did that. This person did that. And she explained the whole situation to me. And I said, how do you want it to be? And she said, I want people to solve their own problem so I can get my stuff done. Because she was taking work home at night and doing all this work where she wasn't interrupted during the day. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have command over my own time. I talk a lot about sovereignty. Sovereignty over your time is a really important thing, right? I choose how I spend my time. I choose. I choose. And I said, okay, let's talk about it. And I asked her this question because I wanted to see how she would respond. I said, is there a part of you that really enjoys being the problem solver? Because if you like to solve problems, there's always going to be problems in front of you to solve. If that's part of your, your ego, your makeup, your being is, yeah, I'm a solver, I'm a fixer. You're you're always going to find stuff to solve. If you're somebody who loves to help people, you're always going to find people to help. And she said, "Yeah, I guess I kind of do." And I said, "That's great to understand that there's a benefit to you. This is happening because there is a benefit to you, right? There's an ego benefit. And also, it's not really helpful to them or you because they're not solving their own problems. They're not learning and growing in their skills, and you're getting bogged down in all their stuff, right? So there's the risk, there's the benefit, and then the detraction to this situation. But she was able to be honest. Yeah, okay. Because honestly, we create these scenarios. We train people how to treat us. And so she enrolled in my course. And what I taught her was how to have sovereignty over your time, how to raise your standards and set the boundaries and agreements with people so that they will respond to you differently. And we have to shift our internal thinking. So first we did the unpacking the internal work of, of understanding like how she contributed to the scenario. And then through going through this course, we rethought how she worked and how she spent her time. And it looked a couple of ways. One was she was open, but only during certain times. So this was like this office hour. And, like you could put up a curtain or a sign or something, or just have it posted. Hey, from, 1 to 2, I'm open for these conversations. And other than that, it can wait. Because people were just dragging her in, and then they learned this behavior to do this, right? That's why it's so important to just you have to think about what are the behaviors that I'm exhibiting, and what am I teaching people around me that's okay, so that I can teach them something different. If you could teach them that, you can teach them something else, right? And then we wound up that now she has sovereignty over her time. Her staff is, first of all, she learned how to guide people to their own resolution. So instead of her solving the problem, people are coming to her and she's coaching them on how they can solve it themselves. Second, she put up time boundaries about when she was going to help people with things or not. And then third, she decided that, part of her work was that what was going to give her joy was seeing other people solve it instead of her solving it for them. So that ego need that she had as a solver and a fixer came from guiding others, and that's where her joy came from. So because when it's a high reward, that now that became a high reward activity for her because she could be so proud of how she was able to lead people into their own greater conscious leadership. I'll just give you another quick example of what this looks like. I had a client say to me, well, I had a board member call, I was going to do this and this and this. And then a board member called and said, can you meet at 4? So I didn't do that, this and this and this because they called. I'm like, but you had something planned. Well, yeah, but I didn't have to do it. But yeah, you did. You can tell that board member, I'm sorry. How about tomorrow? Maybe they're just throwing it out there. So if the board member says, "Can you meet at 4 today?" You don't have to say yes or no. This is a deflection. This is a perfectly way. You don't have to say yes or no. You can say, uh, uh, "Can you meet at 4 today? How about 10 a.m. tomorrow? I'm available then." Well, it's really important we meet today because of A, B, C. Okay, and if you agreed with that, then you can say, yeah, okay, I understand. I can meet you at 4 today. They might just be throwing it out there. Oh, we have to sign this off by 5 o'clock. I'm going to be there for, oh, well, that's different. Okay, yeah. But if it's just 4 o'clock because they said 4 o'clock, it's just pick another time because you did have something scheduled. You did have something. And just because it wasn't a meeting with somebody else or wasn't an external force, it was a priority that you determined, doesn't mean anybody gets to take it from you. And that's the most important thing about staying in that high reward quadrant is that you get to set your priorities and you have much more sovereignty over your choices than you actually know. All right, quick recap. Future first and track it. Put your future first and track your progress. Second, celebrate your wins. However you choose to do it, celebrate it. Third, open your mind to the possibility that you don't have to do that low reward, high urgency work, that there are creative solutions to getting it done and it not being you. delegate, right? Number four, get ruthless. Get ruthless with how you're spending your time, where you're putting your priorities. And five, get some help. And if you want my help, I'm happy to help you. My link is always in the show notes, and you can go to courageouscommunication.com/connect. I got a little form you fill out, and you'll go directly to my calendar, and we can talk about helping you really step into your leadership, take sovereignty over your time, stay in those high reward places so your cup is full, you're energized, you're excited, you're cutting out the resentment, you're cutting out those bad feelings, you're living in a place where your worth is known and you're working in your zone of genius. It's true. It happens for my clients. I see it every single day. It can happen for you. I promise you. So, book a call and we can talk about it. Whether or not it's time, the time is right for us to be together, you're still going to get a ton and ton of information and guidance and strategies. And plus, I just love meeting people. And I really do love doing these calls. It's sort of like a psychic reading for me. I get to connect with people really quickly and deeply. And I just love doing them. So please don't hesitate to book it. And that's it for me in this episode of the Influential Nonprofit. You've got this. If no one has told you yet today, you are awesome. And I will see you next time.